Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the PMI Northeast Ohio State of the Chapter meeting. We're very happy to have you with us this evening, and we've got a full evening planned for you. So for agenda, I'm going to run through some announcements. We will touch briefly on 2019, but we'll be spending the bulk of our time on upcoming 2020. We're also excited to share with you the brand refresh, and you'll see those colors and symbols and logos throughout the presentation, so enjoy that. Then we'll talk a little bit about how you can get involved in the chapter, and then we'll wrap up by telling you how you can claim your PDUs. First thing you should know is the chapter switched to Zoom for webinars. So please silence all your microphones. We also have you on mute. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to ask them throughout the presentation. We will also pause a couple times for questions. So feel free to just type that into the chat. You should have a little bubble that says chat underneath it, and you just click on that, and that will enable you to type to us and talk to us. We are also on Facebook Live, so if you have a friend who is trying to get in, they can also try Facebook as well. Now, the very important part of this evening is that it will be interactive. So we will be using menti.com throughout the presentation to ask you some questions, and you'll have a chance to directly feedback with us. So please take a moment. We're going to pause here for just a moment. Go out to the Menti website, www.menti.com. Enter the code there, 96154, and then throughout the evening we will point out to you when you can go ahead and interact with us and answer questions. So I'm going to pause just a moment, give you a chance to get there. So once you get in there, you can go ahead and answer our first question of the evening, which is, what is your favorite Cleveland summer activity? Oh, come on. I know that we have more than 30 some people on the phone. There we go. Now we're getting more answers. Ready? All right, well, hopefully now you've got the hang of Menti. We'll be asking more questions throughout the evening. So let's continue with our presentation. You know, I neglected to say, this is Laura Hoffman. I am on the board of directors. I should have introduced myself. I apologize. I just started talking. So, you know, if you come up to me at a chapter event, that's what happens. You can run the other way. It's fine. All right, let's get into it. Our chapter sponsors, we have some great sponsors that have supported the chapter throughout the years. Experis, Apex, Strategic Systems, and Tech Systems. All of them do periodically show up at our chapter meetings and would be happy to talk with you more about their business. I also want to mention that we were fortunate enough to have Trimble host us this evening. So we're coming at you from the east side, out across the internet. We did have elections, as we do every year. So we do have some folks that have changed positions. So there are two new governance board members, myself and Colleen Zettler. We do continue to have Paul Allen support as a past president, and our new president is Todd Jones, and you'll be hearing from him later. We also have our 3 operations board members, and Ed is our newest member, and he'll be heading up outreach. So this is how our chapter is governed and organized. You'll see there's up at the top is the governance board, and Todd will go into more of this later. But really, we are like if you think of it as the strategic arm of the chapter. Underneath is the operations board, and they're really leading the day-to-day operations of the chapter. So there's split into 3 areas: operations, stakeholder outreach, and member services. And then underneath them, there are a number of vice presidents. So you see some of those: marketing, membership, leadership, operations, etc. And that's how their leadership structure flows out through the chapter. So it's time to participate again. Our next question is, where are you calling from? Now, what we're looking for is your city. Where are you calling from? So please type in the name of your city. There's a part of me right now that wants to sing that the theme song to the Drew Carey show with all the different cities mentioned.
Cleveland rocks.
That's right. All right, well, thank you folks for chiming in. Let's move on. So we're going to kick things off with a 2019 recap, and I'm going to hand it over to Joe Anastasi.
Thank you, Laura. So as mentioned earlier, we have a governance board that handle the strategic. They're the elected board. We have an operations board. Our job is to implement the strategies given to us by the governance board. There's 3 of us on the operations board: Thad Foster, who owns operations. I'm Joe Anastasi. I own member services, and Ed Ruper owns outreach. For member services, so this is a highlight reel of last year. So we have Baldwin Wallace University as our professional development partner. We continue to offer the PMP study group. We do 3 of them a year. They've been greatly participated. Marketing, the team is participating in beta testing the PMI app. So we have a mobile app that we're still beta testing and likely to be rebranded soon. The team continues to improve and evolve the chapter newsletter. So many of you, I hope many of you are getting the Monday Pulse on Monday or Tuesday of every week to let you know what upcoming meetings there are. We are adding tools. For example, Zoom. We're using Zoom tonight. And we're using Facebook Live and our Facebook group. We're using Mentimeter, and we have been posting things on Meetup as well as on our chapter website. Our registration system is only on the website, but we have Meetup as well to reach other people. Last year we had some really cool events. We went to NASA, enjoyed the 50th anniversary. We saw Lake Erie Crushers. We went to Brews and PDUs. And we just started in November the Thursday Tech webinar. So we had one in November, December, and January. We're skipping this month, but we're having another one in March. And you'll learn more about that in a little bit. So for operations, volunteering has faced hurdles in 2018, but was fully ramped up in 2019. So we have a a fully engaged volunteering team that looks at VRMS, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and looks for candidates there. Where our elections went very well last year. We moved up the election timeline a couple of years ago. It ran really well. We able to elect, I like to say, some really good directors here, Colleen and Laura. Nominations and elections are merely a few months away. We've got 2 gov board seats, and we'll be sending out communication soon. We kicked off work last year on the chapter policy and procedure manual. We hope to make a little bit more progress on that. For sustainability, we need to be able to have our processes documented to pass on to future generations of leadership. In 2020, we're focused on creating a policy manual based on priority, and we're simplifying our strategic metrics. We're going to go from many metrics to a handful, which will be really exciting. I'm going to turn it over to Ed Rupert, who's going to represent outreach.
Good evening, it's Ed Rupert. The highlights from 2019 for outreach, we had several events, a golfing event, bowling, the wine, bars and grills. We had some different meetings. We're going to be working on our membership metrics this year. We are bringing back the guest pass program, so that'll continue. Academic, we're going to be working on our outreach and putting some new programs in there, we hope. And then for the executive side, we had 3 PMI breakfast talks last year that were very well attended. We kind of maxed out our attendance last year, so very proud of that team. And the executive breakfast forums, we had 3 of those. We're going to be expanding that this year, possibly having a panel discussion for one of the meetings this year. And then our sponsors, we retained 3 out of our 4 sponsors. We're working on getting the 4th one back in the fold, but we're always looking for help out there with our sponsorship. And we actually, as a new thing this year, we put on a director of sponsor events for ourselves to help get more sponsors out there, more contact.
Okay, this is Todd Jones. Before we jump into the strategic plan, first off, are there any questions about any of the 2019 information or anything we've covered so far?
And you can post your questions in either Facebook Live if you're there in that little comment box, or into Zoom in the chat window.
And if while anybody's thinking or typing any questions, I want to start off, of course, by thanking Paul Allen for his multiple years of service as president of the chapter. And I am inheriting a wonderful chapter that has a wonderful leadership team and is positioned in great ways to make even more progress in 2020 than we've made over the past couple of years. So really excited about that. Did we get any questions?
No questions. Just kudos to Paul and
Yes.
good info.
Good. Excellent. Thank you.
Anything on Facebook Live?
One thing I did want to say is when we did one of the question of where you're calling in from, we had Costa Mesa, California. So you win the prize for being the furthest away from Northeast Ohio, and probably in much warmer weather than we've got here in Northeast Ohio right now. So thank you for joining. For those of you that don't know me, here's a little bit of bio information as well as a mug shot. Hopefully not available on any milk cartons. All right. If you didn't know, this is a big year for the chapter. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. A major milestone. We get recognized by PMI for celebrating that milestone this year. And one of the things that we want to do, again, like we did in the 25th, for our 25th anniversary, is have some sort of a big party celebration. So we have a small team of individuals that have come forward to help lead that. We could always use 1 or 2 more. So if you're interested in volunteering for that, we do have an open position on VRMS to get involved. But we also now want to go to another survey question and ask you, how do you think we should celebrate our 30th anniversary? Good. Since everybody likes to spend their summers doing backyard barbecues with friends and family, I think going to somebody's house with a really big backyard now might be a good idea. Although not too many people voting for that one.
Someone did volunteer.
A couple people have volunteered. That bar keeps going to the right. It's inching over. Look at that. It's great. All right. So if anybody does remember, for our 25th anniversary, we did the boat ride on the Good Time 2 dinner cruise. So we didn't put that up here in case we didn't want to do a repeat, but I suppose we could do that. The committee will help figure that out. All right, excellent. So almost a toss-up between Rock Hall and a baseball game. So good information. Thanks for giving us that initial insight. All right, so we are going to dive into our strategic plan. As we jump into that, just so you know, we've had what we've called for the past 5 years our Blueprint 2020. And that was our strategic plan to get us to 2020. And we had some pretty aggressive goals on membership, on the events that we would have, the programs we would offer. And I think we did a really good job of getting there, or getting close to there, at least in some things. And so what we figured, we couldn't really have a Blueprint 2020 after 2020. So we decided this year to update our strategic plan and really focus it in on a few areas. So we'll get into that in a couple minutes, but just want to give everybody a little bit of history of kind of where we've been over the past few months. But fairly typical here. We want to talk about our vision statement for PMI Northeast Ohio is to be recognized as an advocate of project management as a profession. And we have our mission statement that you can read there, but it's basically how are we promoting project management? How are we recognizing it? How are we encouraging professional development through our interactions with members, employers, and other stakeholders? So I want to talk about the value that we provide to you, our members. We do provide a set of diversified events each year, hopefully varying on topic, varying on interest, and hopefully varying on location. We also give plenty of opportunities for roundtable or for networking, whether that's time before most of our meetings, whether that's specific networking events that we offer throughout the year. Some of them focused more on business topics, some of them purely social. We hope that you're seeing value in the professional development that we offer between the Professional Development Day that we do every May, as well as all of the programs that as members you can attend for free. We pride ourselves in offering this year over 12 free PDU opportunities throughout the year. And next year we actually have an aggressive target to go over 20 free PDUs that you can get just by being a member of the chapter and attending our events and attending the Thursday Tech Talks. Opportunities for leadership skills. That's probably a little bit more for volunteers, people that choose to get involved as a volunteer, but many opportunities to demonstrate leadership and to grow your leadership potential. And then lastly, hopefully we're forming some sense of community as an organization, that we are connecting people, our members, with local employers, as well as connecting members with each other. What about the value that we provide to our volunteers? Growth opportunities is a key one. Many people get involved as a volunteer because they want to be able to give back to the profession. But another great reason to get involved as a volunteer is to grow yourself and to grow your skills. So to get involved on a team, to get involved leading a team where you can have an opportunity to maybe develop in an area that you know that is going to help you become a better employee to your employer or make yourself more marketable to other organizations. Obviously, PDUs is one opportunity as a volunteer. You can earn up to 5 PDUs per year just as a volunteer for the chapter. Recognition, we try and recognize our volunteers periodically in different ways at either chapter events or an annual volunteer recognition event that we do. As well as, like I said, the opportunity to give back to the profession. And near the end of the presentation, Laura will be talking a little bit more about how to get involved as a volunteer and some of the opportunities we have right now. Stakeholders. We do have, other than members of our organization, we have other stakeholders that we feel we offer value to. One of them is to employers by providing professional development opportunity for their employees. And that can be applied to a current position or future potential position. Best practice sharing. Feel that we are uniquely positioned to provide best practices through our chapter events and through some of the opportunities for networking. And those are things that every one of us can take back to our employers, and our employers as stakeholders in our organization can benefit from. For some of our sponsors, they have access to potential customers, as well as access to potential employees. So many of our sponsors have project management openings that they're always looking to recruit for, as well as offering opportunities for us to maybe take advantage of an opportunity that they have. Any questions so far about the value? And while you're thinking about that, oh, survey time again. What is your favorite thing about being a PMINEO member? Your favorite thing. And getting to hang out with Joe Anastasi is a valid response.
Yeah, while this is going, we were just making a note here. You saw half of a chat here. We have 72 people on Zoom and 27 on Facebook.
Awesome.
So 99-ish.
Very good. We got to find somebody else who would break the 100 mark.
Mhm.
So somebody go phone a friend right now and tell them to log in.
That was a good reminder, though. You do not have to be a member to participate in our event. So if you're at work and you're talking about PMI, and I hope you are, and you have a colleague who is interested, they don't have to be a member to attend. They're welcome. You do not have to be a PMP to attend.
A lot of things coming up about personal connections there. So networking,
Mhm.
people.
Meeting new people,
Yeah.
career networking and career development, meeting people. Absolutely. A strong theme. Appreciate that. All right, let's jump back and we will carry on. All right. So as a board, we identified 7 challenges that we feel we have as an organization. And these are then going to slim down into 4 key focus areas for 2020 as a leadership team for the chapter. So let's talk first about the 7 challenges. First, volunteer experience. Although we have a great set of volunteers, we know we can get better at a holistic volunteer experience. Operational continuity, and I think Joe talked about this a little bit earlier last year that we started our policies and procedures manual, and really having that and maturing that over the course of this year will enable us to be better positioned when we have a volunteer leave the organization for any reason, whether it be transfer, personal life gets in the way of volunteering life, work life gets in the way of volunteering life, whatever it may happen to be. Member engagement. We have some great programs, and the people that attend our programs give us very good feedback. We're just not having a high enough percentage of our membership attending our meetings. And we know that there's various challenges from geography to probably time of day or night of the week or whatever. So one of the things we want to do is try and make sure that we are driving value through our programs so that people want to attend our programs. Because we do, for most of our programs, put a fair amount of effort into putting that on, and want to make sure we're getting a higher percentage of our members taking advantage of that. Career advancement. How can we do better at contributing to our members' ability to advance their careers? So we felt that we have an opportunity there to do a better job of that. Web and social media. We are very sporadic in our social media presence. So one of the goals we have for 2020 is or one of the challenges that we recognize is that we can do a better job of utilizing social media tools. This last year and this year are big years of change with PMI. With the 50th anniversary last year, the launch of the new PMI brand, some acquisitions that PMI made that Joe will talk about later. All of this work that PMI is doing gives us a challenge in keeping up with them and communicating that to our members, but also how can we take advantage and exploit that as well so that we are rebranding ourselves along with PMI's rebranding. And lastly, then continuing not only rebranding ourselves, but also making sure that our brand is strongly recognized throughout Northeast Ohio. We want to make sure that we're relevant and that we continue to be the go-to organization for anything project management in Northeastern Ohio. And when I say project management, obviously including program management, even to some extent portfolio management in there. Do we get any questions on that so far?
There was a question, will the presentation slides be made available to meeting attendees? Yes, we'll upload the slides to the chapter website and the Facebook Live link that many of you received. We are recording live now, but it'll be a permanent recording on that Facebook group. So you'll have two means to see the content.
Excellent.
Thank you, Lori.
All right, so we boiled those 7 challenges then into 4 focus areas for 2020. And what's interesting then is we also assigned a board member to be responsible, to be accountable for us making progress in each of those 4 areas. So the first one, making sure that we're delivering value to practitioners throughout the region, and Prasanna owns that. Second, building the future chapter leadership, and Christy owns that. Engaging local employers, Colleen owns that. And then improving our communication, our marketing, and our branding, and Laura owns that one. So what we're going to do next is actually deep dive into each one of those to provide a little bit more, because underneath each of these 4 focus areas, we have, I believe under each one, 3 identified objectives that we want to accomplish in 2020. So the first one around providing value. First objective under identifying value is identifying practitioners outside of our core geographic area. We find that we have strong participation from those that work or live in the Cuyahoga County area, but much less participation from those in the surrounding areas. And some of you are probably looking at that going, wow, I didn't even know there was a county named Jefferson in Ohio, way down by the West Virginia border. But we do have a relatively large geographic footprint for us in Northeastern Ohio. And how can we do better at engaging people throughout that area? So for those of you in Cuyahoga County, don't be offended by the red no sign over at Cuyahoga County. We're not going to ignore, obviously, our core area, but we want to make sure we're reaching out outside of the core area as well, and making sure that we're getting involvement from everyone. All right, so here we go again, survey time. Want to know your zip code. And reason we want to know the zip code, excuse me, let me get that over. Reason we want to know the zip code is PMI tracks 2 different zip codes, your work zip code, your home zip code. And really what we're looking for is what's the preferred zip code. This is also a great opportunity. I want to remind you, we pull information from PMI. So whatever you have in your PMI profile, and that includes your phone number, your zip code, mailing address, your email address, that's the information that we have for you. And it's the only way that we can contact you. So if you've had any changes recently or even in the past couple of years and haven't gone out to PMI and updated your profile, great reminder to do that for us, because that will help us better maintain contact with you.
Hudson's in the lead. Look at that.
Really? 236?
Yeah.
Hudson, huh?
Oh, I don't see Brunswick on there.
Bunch from Medina there. I recognize Medina. Brunswick. 224, right? Isn't that Brunswick?
212.
Oh, 212. You have a question?
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Joe, you have a
So there's
question?
a really good question in the chat here. Are you guys considering a satellite office? And then the second question is in another county. Oh, I thought it said country. Definitely not in another country, in another county.
Mhm.
So currently we have a home office in Mayfield, but it's really a post office box.
Right.
We don't have a physical location. We are very, very, very open to having satellite chapter meetings where we could broadcast a chapter meeting. The speaker would be in one location, but have alternate locations.
Mhm.
So for any of you that work for any companies that could support Zoom or these kind of technologies, strong Wi-Fi, and want to help us with that, you can contact me at memberservices@PMINEO.org and let's get something going.
Absolutely. Thanks,
And
Jim.
any county in that area is
Mhm.
possible. Thank you, Lori, for the question.
All right, very good. Our next objective under value for practitioners is to collaborate with neighboring chapters to serve practitioners near the shared borders. So you can see that surrounding us are 4 other PMI chapters. The Western Lake Erie chapter, which is Toledo area, Central Ohio chapter, which is obviously Columbus and the surrounding suburbs. To our east, Erie, PA chapter, and then to our southeast, the Pittsburgh chapter. So one of the things that we've talked about is what opportunities do we have to collaborate with those chapters to offer to their members to attend events that we have near that border area, as well as other opportunities for you, our members, to attend their chapter events if they happen to be closer to you. So that's something that we're looking at reaching out to those chapters this year and having a strong collaboration. And hopefully being able to do that where we can attend each other's events without even a fee because we're members. So that's something that we're looking towards. I've actually already started dialogue with the president of the Pittsburgh chapter and very open to collaboration. So I think that would be one that we can kick off, but I want to make sure we try and kick these off with all of our neighboring chapters as well. All right. Next, again, engaging the entire geographic area. We talked a little bit about that already, but really want to make sure that are there ways that we can do meetups in a different area, even if they're informal, and use the chapter resources to promote those. So if you're interested in hosting some form of a meetup in your area or your company, and you happen to be in any of our outlying geographic areas, let us know, and we'd be glad to partner with you and help make those things happen. All right, this I think is going to be an interesting survey question. How far are you willing to drive to an event? And as someone who lives in the southwestern area, I drive typically close to an hour or over an hour to get to a number of our events. So that's where I would go. But how many minutes are you willing to drive to an event? And we do have somebody that doesn't drive, which is why we do virtual events. Excellent. Okay. Looks like we kind of have that sweet spot in somewhere plus or minus 30 minutes. But appreciate those of you that are willing to drive over 45 minutes to get to an event. And like I said, I share your pain. All right, so we're actually not even going to flip back to the presentation. We're going to jump to our next survey question, which is, do you have an idea for a unique event in your area? If so, please enter the event location, contact information, or any information that you can provide, and we will be capturing the information you enter right here. So if you've got something neat in your area that we've never done before or haven't done for a while, share it with us. There you go. Yes, I remember the Goodyear event. Excellent. Anywhere but downtown. Glass blowing, that'd be a fun social event. Botanical Gardens, beautiful. Go-kart. Yeah. Whirly Ball, I still have a scar from Whirly Ball.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Top Golf would be interesting.
Top Golf, yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah, I
those.
drove by that today.
And one of our sponsors happens to be a member of Top Golf. Maybe we can have them help. Excellent. Great ideas. Okay, except somebody's frustrated.
I've done events at the Tobacco Shoots at the Chalet and Strongsville. You can have events there in the summer too. It's very nice.
I've never done the summer. I've only done the winter. And it always seemed to be cold.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Thank you for sharing those. We will definitely take that into advisement as we look to plan some of our, a number of these are social events, but I think some of these are actually things that we could turn into a program event as well. So thank you. Okay, our second focus area for 2020 is to build the future chapter leadership. And this one's really important to us because we are a totally volunteer run organization. So if we aren't doing a good job of building our leadership and maintaining our leadership, we're going to struggle as a chapter. So we have three, like I said, three objectives underneath that leadership. Under that, the first one is new member onboarding and engagement. So establishing procedures in how we onboard new members so we can be more consistent. One of the statistics that PMI provides to us all the time is if you can capture a member in the first year and get them engaged, they're much more likely to renew their membership and to stay a member for a longer term. So one of the things that we have as one of our metrics is capturing our retention rate and how many people renew their membership on a year-by-year basis. So reaching out to new members, making them feel comfortable, welcoming them to chapter meetings, partnering them up with an existing member from a mentoring, all sorts of great ideas that we have of things that we can implement and want to put a focus on that this year. All right, so sorry, survey time again. Pretend you're a new member. How would you want to be welcomed? So give us some ideas that if you were joining a new organization, how you would want to be welcomed, how you would want to get involved originally, and those will give us some ideas. Probably some things we may have thought of, probably some things that we haven't thought of. So help us out. Cash. That's funny. Free hugs. You are a new member. Well, welcome. Glad you chose to join us for this meeting. Hope it's a good way for you to learn a little bit more about the chapter and what we're trying to do and how you can get involved. And if you're a new member, make sure you come up and introduce yourself to somebody on the leadership team at our next face-to-face meeting. Meet and greet, office swag, welcome gift, personal invite, a buddy at the first meeting, awesome ideas. Mentor, yes. Pittsburgh chapter actually just 2 days ago launched their official mentoring program with a mentoring social and a mixer. So something that we might want to think about as well. Welcomed by leadership. Thank you for putting my space in the mirror. I like it. Excellent. Great stuff. Thank you very much. There's still a couple more coming in. Good. I saw a smile out there. And remember, smiles are free and easy. All right, our second objective around building and strengthening our chapter leadership is to establish a program for a holistic volunteer experience. And what that really means is how are we treating volunteers throughout the entire life cycle? So how are we able to recruit? How are we able to onboard new volunteers? How do we retain volunteers? How do we make sure we're properly recognizing volunteers? And then how are we sustaining or driving into succession when a volunteer leaves? And that's a continuous circle in the life cycle. One of the things, pieces of feedback that we've heard locally, but also are hearing from PMI Global is volunteers are looking more for shorter term opportunities rather than sign me up for a position that I'm going to be in for a year or 2 years or 3 years. So one of the things that we started last year, and I know that we're going to expand this year, is micro opportunities or micro projects. So shorter term opportunities where people can get involved and engage for a little bit, do a project, help complete something, disengage for a little bit, and then hopefully re-engage in another one as time permits. We also want to make sure that we are recognizing our volunteers. That's something I think that we as a board have recognized that we can improve on in how we're recognizing our volunteers and thanking them for the job that they do. And then the third objective under leadership is to improve our succession planning. I think we've done a reasonable job at the higher levels of the organization and figuring out how we have succession planning, maybe from a VP role into the operations board, and then how operations boards members often are some of the individuals that are running in the elections to join the governance board. But we need to improve succession planning at all levels of the organization. So as a volunteer comes in and joins a team, how do they live on that team for a period of time, and how do we groom them and encourage them to move into a different leadership position within the chapter and success into a different role as those opportunities present themselves. And they are always presenting themselves. I would love a day maybe when we have all of our volunteer positions filled. I don't know if that will ever happen because we continually have people that are moving in and out of the organization, and that actually is a good thing overall. All right, our third of our four main areas, our focus areas for 2020 is to engage local employers. And then again, we have three objectives under that. The first is an executive roundtable. So one of the things that we actually spent some time at the last leadership meeting in October with the Chicagoland chapter, and they have a very robust executive roundtable program. So we spent some time learning from them, as well as we have some of our own ideas of how can we engage executives of local companies for really a symbiotic relationship where we're able to provide information to them about the chapter and about the value that PMINEO would provide to their employees, so they encourage their employees to become members, as well as how can we gain information from the local employers of what is it that they're looking for in employees, what skills are they looking for their employees to develop and grow, and how can we adjust our programming to provide that information to become more valuable to local employers. So we have some great opportunities there. And what I would ask is if any of you think that your company should have a seat at that executive roundtable, let us know, and let us know who maybe the right individual in your organization might be to sit in on that executive roundtable. Next objective in engaging local employers is to include employers in the recognition of our volunteers. So one of the things that we've heard a couple of other chapters do is they're finding ways to let employers know when their employees are volunteering for the organization and providing recognition, whether it's us sending a letter to your employer or to your boss when you're a volunteer, thanking them for your time volunteering for the organization, or having direct contact with key members in employers around volunteer opportunities that we have in the chapter, because they may be able to identify people within their organization that, wow, I'm looking for Sally to develop this skill, and you have this volunteer position open, is there a way that we can get Sally involved? So I think we have some great opportunities there. And then our third objective in engaging employers is identifying and contacting employers in outer chapter areas. So again, this goes really partners along with the delivering value to practitioners throughout the region, but we think we can help to do that by engaging employers throughout the region as well. And promoting chapter membership, promoting of local events, working with companies to maybe sponsor events at their facilities in our outlying areas. So we think we have some great opportunity there. So let's do a survey question and find out what PMINEO can do to help your employer recognize the value of being a chapter member. So what can we do to help your employer recognize the value of you being a chapter member? Mm-hmm. Good. Mm. Good. All great things. Spotlight column, great. I think spotlight on the employer and the employee volunteer. I think we've got great opportunity for both there. Mm-hmm.
Is it the same person again?
It must be. When we set this up, we clicked the button that said filter out expletives. So maybe that's what happens when somebody tries to say a naughty word.
We did it again.
I know. All right, great ideas. Great ideas. Okay, good. All right, so our last objective, our last focus area for 2020 is to improve communication, marketing, and branding. This one was fairly obvious with feedback that we've heard from some of our communications, our real absence, if you will, on social media, and then aligning with the new PMI brand. So we have a few, again, 3 objectives underneath this particular one. The first, obviously, is the PMI rebranding. You can see, obviously, the old PMI logo there replaced by the new PMI logo. And we talked about, we want to make sure that we are not only promoting the new PMI brand, but also aligning our brand with the new PMI brand. And like I said, Joe's going to come on after me and talk a little bit about the PMI brand refresh, the chapter brand refresh, and he has a really exciting announcement. All right, so what are your impressions of the new PMI brand? What are your initial impressions of the new PMI brand?
And we will accept negative as well as positive comments. Just please keep it clean.
Nick? Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Dominic in the chat said, what the heck is it supposed to be?
We are going to get to it.
Joe's going to tell you all about the new PMI brand and what it's supposed to be. No pressure, Joe. Good. No idea what it means. What's really interesting is when we were at the Leadership Institute meeting in October and they unveiled the new brand, just about everything that is coming up on this screen, the members of the governance board, of the boards that were there, had those same opinions. So just very much so, we were in the exact same spot in, oh, it's nice, it's colorful. Oh, I don't understand it. Somebody has to explain it to me. So we went through a lot of these same emotions and reactions as well. So you're in very good company. But what I will say, and I think Joe will give a little more information about, is PMI has produced some information, and as you understand kind of what the new brand is supposed to represent and what that lower right-hand quadrant with the different images represents, it really does help the brand come to life. So what I would just say is give it a little bit of chance and do invest a few minutes to go out and learn a little bit more about it. And I do think it'll become more meaningful to you. But we do recognize that we as a chapter have a responsibility to help provide that information to you. And tonight's kind of really the first step in that. So, all right. Improving and simplifying our communication. We definitely recognize this is our second objective, and we definitely recognize that we have opportunities to be more effective in our communication. And that crosses the gamut of medium for the communication. So one of the things we've talked about doing is doing an assessment of how effective our newsletter is, how effective are our chapter emails, how many people are getting our chapter emails, how many people are reading our chapter emails, how many people are clicking through and taking action on our chapter emails. Social media communications, how are we actually engaging people on social media? Are we providing meaningful information on social media, the right information there? So we know we have room to grow there. And I know it might sound like a broken record, but we are looking for volunteers to help in our social media space. The other thing I wanted to put this graphic up and talk about it for a second. Basically, if you look across the bottom, it's age groups from left to right, as well as then what's the preferred communication channel for each age group. And the source of this is Ofcom Digital Day. But interesting that a number of us still email is our primary mode of communication. But if you look at younger generations, those that are up and coming into project management, the millennials and younger generation, which by the way is a target for PMI Global in 2020, we know that we have to adjust our communication mechanisms along with that. We have to evolve, we have to adjust. And so we know that we have great opportunity to do things more with texting, to do things more with social media. And so we're definitely making that a focus point for 2020. So you can help us out right now by telling us what your preferred method of communication is and how you would prefer to interact with PMINEO. Is it email? Is it Facebook, LinkedIn, smoke signals, text messaging, Twitter? What do you think? What's the best way for us to get information to you?
Notice U.S. Postal Service wasn't on there.
No, we can't let, I think
that was smoke signals.
smoke
sorry.
signals may be more effective.
Yeah.
Dominic, I appreciate it. You and I can communicate in smoke signals. Now, but this is good. This will help us prioritize how we look at communication. I think it's good to know that email is still the primary mechanism, but seeing that text messaging and LinkedIn are neck and neck, texting is probably not something we've talked a lot about from a communication mechanism. It's probably something that we need to spend more time on. So that's good. Very, very good information to know. All right, thank you.
So I'm posting a chat. Yes, Dominic, you are old.
Yeah, Dominic is not getting any love tonight. All right. For those of you that don't know Dominic, he's on our volunteer team and is a past member of the board, and he is a very outgoing and exciting guy, and he and I have a good, fun relationship, joking back and forth about technology. All right, so our third objective around improving our communications and marketing is informing and guiding our members on career development options within PMI. So there are many different ways to utilize PMI resources for career development, and want to make sure that we are helping guide our members in getting to the right ones based on their needs. So certification is one of the main reasons people will join PMI, to gain a certification and maintain a certification. So I just want to throw this up there. This is as of November 30th of 2019, so it's the most current I could find. And how many credential holders there are, active credential holders there are. And really interesting to note, PMPs crossed the 1 million mark. Active PMPs 1 million late last year. So very, very interesting to note that. By far the biggest certification. But again, it's our responsibility to help provide information to you. And Joe's going to plug it later, but I'll probably plug it too. With the changing of the PMBOK version 7 that's coming out and the changing of the exam that's going to happen, I think, in June of this year, Joe is going to be at our March chapter meeting doing a full review of that and what's coming and what resources are available. So great opportunity in March to learn a lot about what's changing there. All right, before I turn it over to Joe to talk about the brand, just wanted to remind everybody of our signature events. We already had one, which was our Kersner Award Dinner in January. Our next one that we have a key date for is the Spring Professional Development Day on May 20th, and information should be coming out very soon for that. We do have the 3 breakfast forums and the 3 executive breakfast forums occurring during the year. Look for those on our website. And then early warning for International Project Management Day is Thursday, November 5th. And we should have our annual event where we partner with Baldwin Wallace for that. Also this year, our signature event for the 30th anniversary. Don't know exactly what that's going to be or when that's going to be yet, but stay tuned for more information as we look to celebrate that major milestone together. All right, any questions on the strategic plan or our focus areas for 2020?
There's a question from Chuck. Hey, Chuck, from Solon, Ohio. Is there any trend numbers regarding the number of new PMPs? Wondering if the number of new Agile certs exceed PMPs.
Great question. My understanding is that the PMP is still the fastest growing certification, but it is very closely followed by the PMI ACP. And I do think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with version 7 of the PMBOK coming out, which is really a consolidation of traditional project management and Agile project management, how that molds and modifies the certifications going forward. And I think Joe's got probably a little bit of information on that, but there's probably a lot more still coming on that. Any other questions?
Nothing in the chat. Anything on Facebook Live? Nope.
Okay. Well, Joe's going to talk now about the brand refresh.
Thank you, Todd. All right, we're going to start with a little trivia question.
All right, guess the chapter that has that logo. If I hide the image, does that mean we'll see our responses?
Yeah.
There we go.
From Asylum.
Nice.
Very nice.
Dallas, PMINEO, Chicago, Seattle, all sorts, but looks like Chicago's the favorite. And for those of you that guessed it, Chicago's the winner.
Yeah, another question or statement came up, and I'll start with the brand refresh. So upcoming meetings, upcoming events are available on the chapter website. We do have a slide talking about the next 4 or 5. Yep. Go to PMINEO.org, and you'll, right on the homepage is the next 3. And then if you dig in to the event listing, you'll see everything that's scheduled for this year. Thank you, Colleen. Okay, for the PMI 2.0 and the brand refresh. So like many of you, we all have been asking why. Why is there a change? What's going on?
Sorry.
So PMI celebrated their 50th anniversary last year. They were formed in 1969. 3 men at the Three Threes restaurant. There's a lot of threes there. A small, intimate gathering place just a few blocks from City Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So it all started real close by here. Actually, there's more than 3 founding members. You'll get a question in a little bit to test your knowledge. back when they started, the focus was on scheduling and cost management. They were almost called the American Planning and Scheduling Society. Super exciting name, right? And by the way, that logo that you see there on the 50th anniversary, that is their second logo. Their very first one in '69, probably the early '70s, had the very much of that kind of era look and feel to it. So we're on our third logo, which you'll see in a minute. Today, project managers need to focus on people, leadership, strategy, tailoring approaches to meet the business needs. So it's not about, it's still about the iron triangle and the metrics, but it's more about people, strategy, tailoring, getting solutions out as quickly as you can. All right, so here's your, let's see how good you are. All right, so pick 5 out of this set of people to guess who were the founding members. And at least 3 of them are male, so that's a hint. But probably there was female representation.
Was Lady Gaga even born in 1969?
No.
Orville Redenbacher certainly was.
Madonna was. Orville definitely was.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a trend here.
Yep.
So the correct answer is Jim Snyder, who's still alive and doing really well. We see him often at our PMI global events. Susan Gallagher, Ned Edmond, Gordon Davis, and Eric Janae are all our 5 founding members. So 3 of them were at that kitchen table, and then they added 2 more. They got everything founded in Newton Falls, Pennsylvania, and here we are now 50 plus years later. So thank you, panelists.
Good.
All right, so the brand refresh. So on the left-hand side, you'll see PMI's new logo. That's their refresh. You'll notice, the P is pronounced there. The bottom right corner, and you'll see this consistently. Todd mentioned this earlier. That's the personal identification of whatever entity it is. So for PMI, that represents what they feel in purple best represents them. There is a link to another website that we're going to show you later that explains all the symbols. And then the bottom left, you'll see the basically the thumbnail picture of just the trademark logo. The local chapter and all the chapters across the world are going to have a similar pattern where the top left, top right, and bottom left are the same, kind of representing PMI. And then the bottom right will be a purple symbol of the town, city, chapter. In this case, it's the state of Ohio with a rectangle around it. So this, by the way, we thought we would be upgraded to our chapter website be upgraded by tonight or by the end of this month. We are ahead of schedule. We already refreshed our website yesterday. So we're 24 hours into the new website. So go to PMINEO.org and you'll see our new website. PMI.org did their refresh of their website back in October. So if you were submitting PDUs late October, you're wondering what was happening, they were first, and they're encouraging all the chapters to convert by the end of March. So we're ahead of schedule. We're going to talk about some of these new properties here. You'll see PMI with the top there. The far left there, that's the Baltimore chapter. Just give you another representation here. We just saw the Chicagoland chapter with their logo. So some personalization there. So Baltimore is big into crabs, I guess, crab meat. Brightline, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, is a new acquisition by PMI. The Global Accreditation Center, PMI is doing not only accreditation of their standards, but also ramping up their registered education provider network to be stronger. And I'll have some more teaser again for the March meeting. I'll have a little bit more information about how they're fortifying their registered education providers. PMIIF, that's their logo there, supporting youth and education programs. And we're going to talk about the discipline Angela a little bit as well. So with the brand refresh, and I did see a comment in the chat room, like if you have to explain it, does it make sense? So a lot of us had the same reaction when we first saw this in October, because we were used to that other logo for 40 some odd years. My impression is that other logo that you saw really represented corporate America, that corporate blue, real basic kind of, it really signified like the 80s and the 90s with the traditional predictive button-up shirt kind of approach. And what they wanted to say is, nope, we're 2.0 now. Project managers, some project managers don't even call project managers. We're delivering value. We're finding ways to mix process, methodology, agile and predictive methods. We're really focused on business and strategy. We need to be agile, that kind of thing. So in order to do kind of embody all that, yes, they rolled out new colors, new icons, new fonts. Yeah, very nice, beautiful. Yeah, a lot more purples and tangerines, aqua and violet are now their primary colors, along with black and white. Again, we need to be bold, fearless, and adapt to new ways of delivering value. There is an FAQ. We'll have an FAQ on our chapter website at some point. If you want, the Delaware Valley chapter was one of the first ones to convert. They have a new brand FAQ that could probably explain the new brand way better than me, and also explain all the different icons and graphics and what they mean. One of the things that PMI talked about late last year and going forward is this whole thing about the project economy. Trillions of dollars are spent every year on projects. People that are running projects or leading projects aren't necessarily called project managers, as I mentioned before. Real focused on teams, program portfolioization of work. You're shifting from a static job description of individual roles like project manager, scrum master, agile practitioner, into more team-oriented roles, right? It's all about the team, servant leadership, and things like that. The gig economy is huge. Agility, being able to flex your processes. There's constant disruption and turbulence. You don't see any blockbusters anymore. Netflix ate its lunch. So if you're not nimble, you're dead. So transformation, companies are changing the way they're doing business, and technology advancement, artificial intelligence, all those kind of things we'll talk about a little bit later, are changing the way we are executing projects. There is a signpost white paper. In fact, if you go to this website, and again, these slides will be available on the chapter website within a few days, and also Facebook Live if you need to go back and watch this again. The link there is to their overall white papers on the project economy. They have these things called signposts that kind of like, these are the leading indicators, or these are the focus areas for this project economy. Things like how capital is flowing, where's capital coming from, economic development, demographic trends. You know, the United States is changing its demographics. We have to be ready for that. Business environment. For those of you paying attention to the talent triangle, we have 3 legs of the talent triangle: business, leadership, and technical. Technical is still important, but leadership and business environment and strategy are becoming more and more important. AI, robotics, things like that. So really good white paper. If you have a chance, go ahead and take a look at that. PMI has some great offerings, some old and some new. So PM Network is the monthly magazine. It's available on your tablet or phone. Projectmanagement.com is a website that was an acquisition of PMI's a few years ago. A lot of great webinars and content out there. It's kind of a socially network, but a lot of good stuff out there. Single sign-on for both sites, PMI.org and projectmanagement.com. They just published their 2019 Project Management Salary Survey. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The Pulse of the Profession. And what's new, and was announced back in October, Brightline is a strategic initiative, disciplined agile, more and more agile. As Todd had mentioned, you're going to see with the 6th edition PMBOK, which is the current one, with the 7th edition PMBOK, with a lot of this thing is agile and flexing processes and hybrid and tailoring your approach so you're not doing one size fit all approaches to projects. So Brightline is a project management institute initiative together with leading global organizations dedicated to helping executives bridge the expensive and unproductive gap between strategy, design, and delivery. One of the things that PMI has noticed over the years, it's heavily focused on project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, not as much focus on executives and senior leaders and convincing them that there's an importance of projects to delivering the strategic value. So a lot of good ebooks and website white papers out there. We may have a program or two this year to kind of explain it. We'll have maybe a guest speaker. No promises. We're going to work through the details, but that'll be cool. Very interesting. Sorry, I'm getting into the new colors. The Discipline Agile. So PMI's had this ACP certification for 5+ years, maybe even longer, maybe even almost 10 years. Discipline Agile is a recent acquisition. Discipline Agile also, there's a DAD. We do have a local representative in our chapters going to represent Discipline Agile for the local chapter. We hope to have a program or two this year to kind of unveil that a little bit more. PMI is going to work through, they're going to leave the ACP alone for now. They're going to add the DAD as an offering. Maybe over time they merge them or leave them separate. But it's really about agile delivery, change the way we're working, delivering value sooner. And the DA toolkit that's part of Discipline Agile supports all the traditional Scrum, SAFe, and all those techniques. More information at that long URL below. Flex. So Flex is also a new acquisition. In fact, if you go to the Flex website, it doesn't look like the PMI website yet. That's how new it is. So they need to do the brand refresh as well. What Flex from Net Objectives is an organization that leveraged the Discipline Agile approach on their own before PMI had any acquisition to it, and they helped implement Discipline Agile at large organizations. So PMI said, you know what? We don't want to be a consulting company. PMI does not want that, but they do want to be a standards and an approach and certification standards type organization. So they're going to partner with Flex and DA to deliver that to their customers. They're either going to sell off or spin off the consulting business because PMI is a nonprofit. They don't want to be in consulting. And that may take a little while. So that's probably why the logo is still the old way. Maybe in the next few months, you'll start seeing it rebranded. More information in that press release down in the link below. Salary survey. 32,000 people were asked about their salaries. We asked from lots of countries. We added 5 more countries there, sorry. We're up to 42 countries. Most of those survey respondents held a PMP. So 82% were PMPs. One thing, and I've seen this trend over the last few years, even like a year or two ago, it was like 18% higher salary, 19 this year. PMPs show an average of 22% higher across all 42 countries. A lot of cool information there. You're not going to be able to get a raise at your company by reading that survey or handing it to your boss, but it is an interesting read about the different roles and experience levels across the countries and those salaries. So I encourage you to take a look at that. Also the profession. So there's a ton of content in here. I didn't put everything on the slide, but the Pulse of the Profession really talks about what are the trends going forward. One interesting stat here, and I think it used to be worse. 11.4% of investment is wasted due to poor project performance. It used to be worse. 11.4% still sounds bad, right? But there's a lot more thought leadership in that article there that you should take a look at. It was just released a week ago, so pretty fresh.
If you were able to reduce your project expenses by 11.4%, you might get increased salary.
Yeah, sometimes that doesn't happen, but yeah, you can try.
I know.
So in the March 18th chapter meeting, a teaser. So we are going to talk about PMI. They're going to a sole vendor for exam delivery, Pearson View. Believe it or not, the 7th edition of the PinBox is going to get smaller. It's almost the size of a telephone book for those of you old enough to remember telephone books. If not, ask your grandparents. It's now going to get smaller. They just released an exposure draft of the front of the PMBOK. The later chapters will be released in a few months, but that's exciting. The focus won't be so much on process, even though there'll still be process. There'll be people and business. So this whole principle-based versus process-based certification. So the certs are going to change. The PMBOK is going to change the way they deliver exams. So a lot of cool stuff. Please join us in March.
All right.
I don't see any questions in the chat. So actually, before we do this, let me
Okay.
just, anything we just covered the last few slides. Any questions on the brand? We're not going to be able to defend it. We can only explain it. Anything on PMI, PMP? The chat looks pretty quiet. Anything on Facebook Live? Okay, good. All right, we'll move on. So which of the following is not a new offering by PMI? Let's see how many of you were paying attention.
Pop quiz.
So which of the following is not a new offering, i.e. old offering? Okay, good. Generally, you're right. Why don't we go ahead and show the correct answer?
Okay, show the correct answer.
So the Pulse of the Profession and the annual salary survey, as well as projectmanagement.com, have been offerings for years now. Flex, DA, and Brightline are new.
All right.
I would like to turn it over to Laura Hoffman to tell us how to get involved.
So we do have a system to go ahead and volunteer with the chapter. You can reach it from our website by looking under membership and then under volunteers. That will take you to the VRMS system, and that's where you sign up to tell us your interest in volunteering. We do have a number of open opportunities. I'm not going to touch on all of these, but you can always reach out to the chapter, and we'll be happy to tell you more about them. Our volunteer team would be happy to reach out to you and talk to you about any of these. But just a couple of things. One, we are looking to be the host of the PMI Region 4 meeting, and what that is all those sister chapters around us, including ones in Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York. All of those chapters are in our Region 4, and we meet annually in different places within that region. So Cleveland would like to be a host of that, and we're looking for volunteers for that and be part of it. Director of Programs. This is probably one of the most important positions in the chapter. This is the person that leads the planning for all of our chapter events. So if you would like to have a say in what events we do in the future and how those happen, we'd love to have you on the programs team. As we mentioned, one of our goals is to expand our social media presence. those of us in this room, I'm going to say, are not tech savvy as far as social media. I think it's a fair statement. We are looking for somebody that is. So hopefully, out of the near 100 people on the phone, one of you has got those skills, and we would love to have you be a part of the team and help us out with that. I'll just mention one more, VP of marketing. You saw that is definitely one of our focuses, is marketing and communications. So we are looking for, this would be an upper level position to help us with that marketing strategy. I just want to say, we cannot run this chapter without volunteers, but I think one of the things we forget to tell you is what you get out of being a volunteer. So I know all of you, just like me, have other volunteer opportunities, whether it's your children's sporting events, whether it's your church or synagogue, whether it's your community. You're being pulled in many directions to volunteer. And of course, we don't want to take away from you doing those things. But I would say PMI Northeast Ohio has one unique thing that some of those other opportunities don't have. Volunteering with the chapter directly benefits your career. I am not just making that up. That's not something I read. I experience that every day. So by being a chapter volunteer for as long as I have seen that give me opportunities with my employer. It has helped me during my annual reviews. It has given me leadership skills and opportunities that I would not necessarily have at work. And it's also given me the advantage of having mentors across many different industries, various different levels of experiences, again, that I would not necessarily get from my company. So all of those things have helped me move up in my career. In fact, I will tell you, I just recently got promoted. And it was all of those things together that led to that moment. So, absolutely keep volunteering in all those other areas that you do today. But the volunteering with our chapters is one of those rare opportunities where it directly benefits you.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, as we mentioned, we are in social media. So all of those different forums are places that we try and reach out to you. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, I want to thank you all for attending tonight. It's very important for us to let you know about all the great work that's going on with the chapter. We're glad to be able to present all this programming to you, and we'll open it up for any final questions you may have.
And then we have two more quick things to do. One of them is one more final survey question, the final one of the night, and also how to claim PDUs for tonight. If that's a question on anyone's mind.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, and our upcoming events. Forgot about that one. Three things.
Yeah, so there's two events coming up in March, one virtual and one in person. I will put in a plug for the book club. When we say all are welcome, we mean everybody. We would absolutely love for both men and women to join us.
so there is a question in the chat. Pallavi asked about who should we contact if we're trying to find a mentor. So we don't have a mentoring program today, but if you could send me an email, memberservices@pmineo.org, and we'll take it under consideration and see what we can do for you.
Yep.
Next question in the chat, will the women in project management sessions rotate locations?
I believe so. I don't think we're just meeting in one place all the time.
Okay.
I know the first one or two have been at Panera and Independence, or
No, one in Independence and one in kind of by Old Brooklyn, Tiedemann.
Yeah, so Brooklyn and Independence were the last two. How do you join the book club? Is another question.
sign up on the website, right?
Yeah, all you need to do is register to come.
Yep.
Yeah, so sign up and show up, as Colleen said.
There you go.
Any other questions? When you get requests like the mentoring request, find a way to make members aware or be willing to mentor someone.
Yes.
Thank you, Terry.
No, very good. And maybe that's an enhancement we can make to the website where we put up a place or use Meetup as a possible opportunity to connect mentors with people that are interested in being mentored.
The other thing I would encourage everyone to do is, many mentor relationships are informal. Just by simply being on any one of our committees, that whole committee is your unofficial mentoring team.
Good point.
So that's I've gotten a lot of advice by doing that.
And definitely leverage our social media. So we have LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. That's a good way to connect with one another too. Like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor.
Mhm.
I want to be a mentor.
Yep.
But you could send an email to me and to Joe, and I'll try to connect people. Okay, nothing else on there?
All right, final survey question of the night. Joe, is that you? Excellent. I'm very pleased to see that we have so many people that found value in tonight's meeting. So that's wonderful. We were thinking about that when we put it together. So glad that you feel like we delivered tonight. All right.
And you can claim PDUs on your own by going to the PMI website. There is a course identifier you'll see there. I'll read it, but it will be in the presentation 202000219. And the code is C048LY0WQZ. So if you use those codes, you'll be able to claim your PDUs.
Yeah, the code is a quick way to get it in. So if you type in that code, it fills in everything else for you.
Good. So we'll leave that up for a couple seconds so you can capture that. But again, the presentation will be online, and you can also have the opportunity to go look at the video.
There will be a question, how many PDUs? So this was 1.5 in strategic and business.
Mhm.
David Fox, we look forward to meeting you.
Awesome.
All right, thank you everyone for joining this evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Good. And join the conversation on social media. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.